Maybe
So we're trying to just
hold the
what's up?
mic hold the mic a little further from your face.
Okay, it's further from my face now.
That's better. You're just loud.
Can you not? I haven't seen you in how long, and you're just gonna make fun of me like this?
It sounds better, trust me. Welcome to the Move with Motus Podcast. My name is Dr. Christopher Ellis, and joining me is personal trainer John Williams. We are the owners of Motus Personal Training and Physiotherapy. Together, we will discuss any topic you can think of when it comes to training and rehab. From the carnivore diet to hip impingement, you can be sure that all your questions will be answered. Enjoy this week's episode.
Well, you had this one on glutathione. How do you pronounce that?
Glutathione?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The title in the description looked interesting, and I just want to learn more about it. And now people talk a lot about antioxidants. Why is this one special? Why are antioxidants important in the first place?
Good question, John. So oxidation. So life is like a balance of
box of chocolates.
Well, it's like a box of chocolates. Yep. Yeah, it's electrons bouncing back and forth to each other, and that makes a big difference. If you remember oxidation reduction back in chemistry class, oil rig, oxygen is loss and reduction is gain. I don't know if you remember. Anyways, so there's constantly exchange of ions going back and forth, and that changes how things interact. So oxidation is generally considered like kind of a bad process. It's the reason cars rust. It's the reason bananas turn brown. It's the reason older folks' skin get those like brown spots. Their skin is like oxidizing. All right.
Can I prevent that? Because I fear that.
Glutathione.
Okay.
So I mean, some level of oxidation is good because so we call it oxidative stress. Life is always a balance, right? You don't want too little of anything or too much of anything. If you don't work out at all, provide no stress, you don't grow. If you do too much, you get some muscle breakdown. So, either way, in either direction, it's not good. You always want that Goldilocks zone. Same is true of oxidation. You want like a little bit because it does trigger a detoxification system in our body. So it's kind of good for us to adapt. But anyways, oxidation at higher levels can cause all kinds of stuff, give you wrinkled skin and all that stuff. So how do you fight oxidation? Antioxidation, right? So that's the antioxidants, right? So you get a lot of that stuff in fruits and berries and meats and, all the good food. So did that answer that part? I can get into the glutathione. So I'm just gonna go for it. So glutathione is like. So when I was researching this, you'll see.
I was gonna answer you, and you just were very impatient.
When if you do a little research on glutathione, everyone says, "Oh, it's the master antioxidant, the master." And in my blog, I didn't want to repeat everybody else. I call it the king of the jungle. So it's like the most powerful antioxidants, right? And it's made of 3 proteins. Let's see if I can remember them. It's
this is you remembering them by looking at your phone and researching it.
Shut up. L-glutamine, glycine, and cysteine. Those are the 3, right? Okay. So
wow, it seemed like it took you a while to remember them, but once I
opened my phone,
remembered them, you said them pretty quickly. Yeah.
Shut up. Like the proteins and the aminos, they get very they all sound the same.
They do all sound the same.
Yeah. Anyways. So so here's the idea. So oxidative stress can come in a lot of different forms. It can come in food, smoking, alcohol, environmental stuff, carcinogens, too much exercise, too much sun, too much anything, right? It'll create oxidative stress. And then the body secretes the glutathione like mitigates that. So think of it as like you have a pool of glutathione. And if you're constantly taxing your system with oxidative stress, you're constantly soaking up your pool, and then you run out, and that's where damage occurs. So, if you go out on a bender and drink a bunch of alcohol and smoke a bunch of cigars, not that you'd ever do that, right?
I've never done that before, nor have you witnessed such a thing.
You've probably soaked up temporarily your pools of glutathione, and then you got to stock back up, or else you're gonna, if you start putting things on top of that, now I'm gonna go for a sprint and be out in the sun and like, I don't know, drive through smog in LA or something. You're going to just have things stacking on top of each other, and you probably don't have enough glutathione to sustain that type of damage. So the question is, how do you get it? Well, so as always, meat is a great source of it. Because let me back up. So there are supplements. You can take glutathione supplements, but they found that they're not really effective. What is more effective is
Do we know why that is?
I don't know. I'm sure somebody knows, but it really comes down to bioavailability. I mean, supplements in general are just hard to take stuff. I don't think we know how much we get out of them.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of probably pee them all out. But,
Well, and at the same time, too, when we cook foods, we partially are digesting that food before we put it into our body, which makes all of the nutrients in there more bioavailable. If we don't cook supplements, so it could have something to do with it, but I'm not a scientist.
I wonder if maybe they're not coming with their cofactors. They're not coming with the minerals. Like, you eat a steak and you get the glutathione and maybe the cofactor helps digest it. Whereas if you just take a pure form of it, you don't get the things that help absorption. That I don't know. That's probably what it is. I'm not 100% sure. But what I do know is those other peptides, let's see if I can recall it from memory again.
Yep, you're thinking really hard.
The L-glutamine, glycine, and cysteine, if you take those supplements, those are the building blocks for glutathione, you seem to have higher glutathione levels. But so natural sources of glutathione are like, so steak, eggs. I feel like eggs is everything. And then it's nature's multivitamin. And
now,
then
egg yolks or the egg
yes,
whites?
Yolks. Yeah.
See, my mom is so obsessed with her egg whites.
I know.
She's like, I'm trying to get more protein and not as much fat. I'm like, yeah, but you're missing all of the nutrients that come from the egg.
This is what, in the nutrition world, I think everything boils down to, are you on the side of the diet heart hypothesis or not? So do you think that fat makes you fat? And do you think high levels of saturated fat causes an increase in LDL and that's bad and can give you heart attack? That's sort of the one school of thought, which I think is completely wrong. If that's your school of thought, then you're going to think fat is fat. You're going to stay away from butter. You're going to substitute with margarine and all these things with vegetable oils. And the recommendation is to have canola oil, which I think is completely backwards. It's completely backwards. It should be the other way around. LDL is not bad unless it's damaged. What damages it? Things like canola oil, processed sugars, industrial seed oils.
So now, wasn't an oxidation process part of the damaging of LDL?
Yes. So some of the vegetable oils and the processed sugars, well, sugars glycate. Okay. So ApoB is a protein that sits on the surface of the LDL. That's the key code that allows the LDL to go into cells and deliver the cholesterol. So I don't know if you remember that part, right? So that ApoB protein is key. Like literally, it's the key. So if that gets damaged, then the cells that the cholesterol are supposed to go to don't recognize it, and it's left to go into circulation. So the oxidation of that is what is the bad thing. That comes from crappy diet. So what you shouldn't do is eat a whole bunch of saturated fat, jack up your LDL, and then also eat a bunch of vegetable oil and processed sugar. That's probably the recipe for disaster.
Now, does our glutathione help with this at all, or is this a completely separate thing?
I would imagine so. I mean, if you're trying to minimize the oxidation of lipids of this LDL molecule, an antioxidant like glutathione would probably help. But I'm sure if you just overwhelm the system with, just picture someone going out and drinking a bunch, smoking cigarettes, and going to McDonald's, right? Right. So you create a whole bunch of oxidative stress from cigarettes and the alcohol, and whatever else you're doing. And then you go to McDonald's, and then you're having a bunch of crappy food, a bunch of fries soaked in vegetable oils, and you are getting some, actual meat from the burger. So now you've got LDL up, and you've got oxidative stress from the vegetable oils, and you probably soaked up your glutathione pools from all that drinking and smoking. So I think
a whole mess of things.
Yeah, that's the rogue wave. That's the perfect storm right there, I think.
I do like McDonald's though.
I mean, they're supposedly like all beef patties. There's nothing in them. As far as I know, I don't know how high quality the meat is, but if you skip the bun and the fries, and it might not be that bad.
So you said meat, eggs, and then what else is glutathione available in?
So I forget the way it works, but I know sulfur containing foods can help build glutathione, and that's the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, things that kind of smell a little sulfury. So that's probably why. I think it's probably the sulfur in eggs that actually really help.
Hmm.
Those are the big ones. Oh
Well,
yeah,
there we go.
I think milk thistle and vitamin C also help with absorption. But don't ask me the details on that. I just read that somewhere. So
So if you're going to give a high level overview of the benefits of consuming glutathione and where it comes from, and pretty much the most important things people could take from what we're talking about here, what would it be? Like a two
I,
sentence, here's
I
what
would
you should know.
say eat foods containing the L-glutamate, glycine, cysteine, right, or sulfur containing foods to build up your glutathione levels so you can mitigate oxidative stress.
There we go. So I want to tell you, since we're on the topic of nutrition, I want to tell you my current nutritional strategy.
All right.
And I've been feeling really good, like really good. And so I was on a cut for like 8 weeks, and it was brutal, and I was hungry all the time. But what I did is I pretty much narrowed down my food intake to high fat meats, dark leafy greens, and then fruits.
Okay.
And then I've kind of I was doing even like a little bit of like whole wheat pasta for a bit, and then I eliminated that. And I've really never felt better, like before or after eating a meal. Even when I go to work out and exercise, I feel fantastic. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Cooked fatty meats, dark leafy greens, carbs or fruit. Thoughts?
Yeah. Me personally, I just don't do well with any kind of carb or, well, I would say like a pasta type of carb. As much as I do love it, it doesn't sit well with me, and I think that goes into some personal history, the hypoglycemia. I do eat some fruit occasionally. I'll have some strawberry, a lot of berries. Also high in antioxidants, by the way. And I don't really eat the dark leafy greens. They are kind of micronutrient rich, but they don't come out without their negatives. But I think it's really, diet is so independent. If you feel good, I think that's a great diet for you. I mean, my two rules is avoid processed sugar and vegetable oils. Those are my two biggest rules. And for me personally, I just go low carb. So I do have some fruits. I do get some carb, and I don't really do vegetables. I do a lot of saturated fat and liver and eggs, and I do dairy. Dairy is also one of those ones. It just depends on the person.
I don't know if you saw this, but Dr. Rhonda Patrick is currently doing the ketogenic diet.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that.
And she made an interesting comment on the Joe Rogan podcast. She was in it when she put out the podcast. It was maybe like a month ago. I wonder how she's doing now. She was probably like 2 or 3 weeks into it. And she was having an impossible time getting into ketosis.
Yeah, I did see that talk. Yeah.
Yeah, like anytime she would have like spinach, it would kick her out of ketosis.
Yeah, you're taking in carbs, and so maybe she's not fat adapted, and so you give the system any type of carb, it's just going to opt for that.
Yeah, and she was saying like all of the people who think they're doing the ketogenic diet, there's no way they are, because obviously she knows what she knows. She's a very intelligent person. On top of the fact that she's trying her ass off to be in ketosis and she's struggling to get into it. Obviously, over time, she'll become more fat adapted. She can get into ketosis quicker. But in the beginning, because most people don't really try all that hard with any of their nutritional strategies, like most people are probably not in ketosis ever.
Well, so the ketogenic does include some fruits and veg, right? I've never actually read through all the details of the ketogenic diet, but it does include fruits and vegetables. So if you're taking in carbs and your body's adapted to burning carbs instead of fats, it's going to naturally select for carbs. So that's where it's like, why don't just go zero carb for like a month, train your body to be adapted to burning fat, and then maybe opt for like a ketogenic diet. And then it kind of can switch back and forth a little easier.
Yeah, it's just people have a hard time being that restricted for even only a month.
I don't get that at all. Like, so a diet full of eggs and ribeyes, that sounds restrictive. That sounds awesome. Like, just do it for a month. It's amazing what happens.
Oh man, I've been having a ton of lamb recently because for some reason up here, like lamb is way less expensive per pound than beef at the moment. I don't know why. So I've been doing a ton of lamb.
I love lamb.
It's so good. Two nights ago, I think it was, I had lamb shoulder with an egg on top,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just it was absurd. It didn't make any sense.
Get some ground lamb, some goat cheese, a little bit of black pepper, and put an egg on top. So just make it. It's like the best burger. You know, skip the bun. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Still the best. I think the best meat I've ever had was with you and your brother.
Those beef ribs.
And we had the beef ribs, which were unnecessarily good, and then the pulled lamb in the crock pot, which was just like ridiculous. I'd never had anything like it.
Yeah, we do it up. Yep, I actually just bought some beef ribs. We're gonna cook them tonight. Smoke them.
Ooh, I'm jealous. Yeah, that I was like, I was getting kind of pissed at you guys because I got to your place at like 5. And you're like, yeah, it's not gonna be done to like 10 more hours. I was like, who do you think I am?
That's our secret to making you like our food, is just make you wait for it so you're starving.
Yeah, so we literally waited like 4.5 or 5 hours, some crazy amount of time.
Yeah.
And then we ate, and I was like, okay, this was totally worth it. And then your brother was having his own moment, and he didn't even get to hang out with us.
Yes, he did. See, and now you're telling stories about. I think it's the second podcast you mentioned the beef ribs on. See, it's worth the wait.
Yeah, I speak about them more often than I should.
Well, John, anything else?
No.
All right. I'll see you when you get down here then.
You'll see me then.
Do you have unexplained pain? Or do you wonder just how healthy you are? When was the last time you had your blood tested? Blood chemistry analysis is a great way to stay ahead of any health conditions, and now you can have control of your health with Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an incredible company that sends blood tests to your home. You can choose from over 30 different tests, whether that's liver function, testosterone, micronutrient, cholesterol, or C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. It's sent to you with free shipping, and you get results in 2 to 5 days, no physician referral needed. Use the code DPT20 for 20% off. Go to letsgetchecked.com and use the code DPT20. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you have any questions you want answered, find us on Instagram at Motus Naples or send us an email. You can fill out a contact form on our website, which is motusnaples.com. Make sure to check out our blog and our shop as well, where there are downloadable programs that we'll continue to update. This is the Move with Motus podcast. We'll see you next week.